Yeah. Well, Mr. Panozzo, we made it once again to another edition, another late night edition. I don't know how I'm still awake because I'm still on, I think, like day number 6 or so of my Vegas hangover. But we appreciate you staying up late as always.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we should act like we're actually in the UK watching. We're up in the middle of
Yeah.
the night.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm getting up early, man, and it's just my body. I remember, like, 15 years ago, getting up to watch World Championships and watch China Opens, and I'd be up at like 4 a.m. Sweating matches, and let's just say I'm not getting any younger, Mike. That's for sure. So
It's hard. It's easier to get up early after you've spent like 45, 50 years,
right.
getting up at the crack of dawn for work. So your body just doesn't. But I'm still not getting up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to watch the early
Wow.
match. That's it.
Yeah. I'm trying to, and I'm trying to, like, I hate sleeping in. It just bothers the hell out of me. But I'm trying to get up earlier to go and watch it. And you know, this was a big day, Mike, because it was moving day for a lot of guys. It was kind of you got to go and make a move, and you got to go and win two matches depending on where you were at in order to get there. And I'm just gonna jump right into it, Mike. The biggest news of the morning for me, whenever I got up, was seeing Sky Woodward just in a world of trouble, man.
Yeah, yeah. That was a tough one to watch. Um, he just couldn't get there.
I
Um,
think he was up something like 8-6, right?
He was
And
up
then
8-6, and he played a really weak safe on the one ball. I thought he had to push out. He was up 8-6 and he broke. He was stuck on the one ball, which was the cue ball is top of the table, one ball is the bottom of the table, and he was behind the ball. And he pushed out just along that top rail and left the guy, a long tough cut onto one, but full ball, makeable shot into the corner, and the guy made it. So I thought that was a kind of to me a error judgment on his part, and then he.
well, I mean, it's easy to go and play Monday morning quarterback, Mike, but you don't think the guy's going to go and get out and then run two from there to,
Well, he didn't
send you out.
there. I mean, he made the one, but then he controlled the table, right? So he had to take a kind of a. He didn't have a clean shot at the two, so he hit it and it hit into the nine, and the nine went off a rail and up into the corner, and so he fluked the nine to make it 8-7. Then he ran out twice from the break.
And you
So,
got the break, man.
so yeah, that was a tough thing for Sky to
Well,
watch.
it wasn't without drama because when he got on the case 8 to get to the 9 ball, he was a little funny. He's on the rail. The angle's taking him right into the 9 ball, which that's the last time of the match you want to go and
Yeah,
and
and
start
he
and start running
ran.
into balls. Yeah, and he ended up with a bank shot that he ended up drilling. But I'm sure, I you know, it's I love whenever these tournaments kind of get my blood going, and I'm like, oh man, like there's a chance like it's like if you miss that 9, you're dead selling out, and there's no way you're
Yeah,
playing safe and going for the bank at the same time. And I like the guy. He was kind of fearless there at the end and just fired it. I mean, it sat well, but
yeah, it's
either way,
good, but
so you
uh,
still got to put it away, Mike.
it's case nine ball in a hill match. It's
Well,
that's you got to
you've
come.
seen those like heart pressure, the heart rate monitors. I would have loved to have seen it on a shot like that,
Yeah,
because that was a pretty major upset. But that wasn't the only one of the day, Mike, because later on we saw the Lion leave after losing to Craig Osborne 9-7, and it didn't seem like Alex ever really caught a gear in that match. At least the moments that I watched.
no, he was chasing. He was chasing throughout. I saw him make a couple of mistakes, and it was a tough one, tough loss for him. David Alcade went down. So
Right? Yeah.
this was elimination day. Every match, the loser was out. From the first round and the second round, every match the loser was out, and so there were a couple of those upsets that you weren't expecting to see. I certainly didn't expect to see David Alcade go, win his first, go 2-0 from there. Uh,
No, I mean he probably wasn't. If I had to guess, probably a top 10 favorite, maybe like a top 12 favorite
yeah,
going into the
yeah,
event.
yeah,
You would say you would kind of put him in that range,
sure.
just given his 9 ball prowess and his experience, and the guy can go and he plays very well on the matchroom stages, without a doubt. And we've seen it, pick the event and he's been successful in. But I mean, it really just shows. We talked about it yesterday, Mike, of just how wide open the event can be. And it sounds cliche and it sounds wonderful, that anything going to happen in it's 9-ball pool. But you know what? Like when stuff like that goes and happens, when you have, for me, the guy, beating Sky was probably like a 2 or 3 game dog on paper. The same thing with Alex. But with that one on the spot, and if they can get a breakdown, I mean, any one of these guys are capable of going and putting you in your seat for a while. And you know, one mistake, it can go and hit you with three
Yeah,
real quick.
sure. Yeah, that can happen real easily. It happened to Tyler Steyer against Torsten. I
Well,
mean,
he shouldn't have. It was like 5-4 or something. Then he hangs up an 8-ball. I mean, you can't
that
do that, Mike.
that
You can't do
cost
that to Thorsten.
that cost him 3 games right out of the gate. That
Yeah.
cost him 3 games right there, and then he just couldn't come back. So that was a terrible miss. I don't know how he missed it.
Especially with the format, Mike, because it is winter break. Like that's the most gut wrenching part because really you should be one up. You left it up. Now you're going to be one down. So that's a 2-game swing by itself. Then you expect your opponent to, probably run a rack right there. I mean, that's a 3-game swing.
Yeah,
Just
uh,
one mistake.
yeah, yeah,
And he was playing like pretty fluidly up until that point. But
yeah. It was the first.
momentum is such a big thing.
Yeah, the first half of the match, he looked as good as I've seen him look, so far this year. So, that was only, 7 or 8 racks worth of pull, but he looked good. He looked sharp. He was making long shots with, no problem. He did a couple of his shots where he drew the ball way around the table. He's
Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't really look nervous to me, through that
got
first half of it. Like he I mean, I've seen Tyler's nerves get the better of him at times, and he wears it on his face. But I didn't see that to the first half of the match, Mike, not at all. And
yeah,
but that kind of was just par for the course when it comes to the Americans for the early
yeah,
part of the day, Mike, because we saw quite a bit head hit to the exit.
yeah. It was a rough day. It was a really weird day because there were two of maybe 8 or 9 guys who lost,
Right.
but a lot of them were guys you didn't expect really to get to the final 64. Then the guys who did get to the final 64 were guys who were kind of on the fringe of that. Nick DeLeon, Oscar
My
Dominic,
man.
Shane Wolford. So if your Moscone Cup players, hold up their end, Skyler, Billy Thorpe, Tyler, Chris, whatever, if you get 2 or 3 of those guys, now all of a sudden you had 7 or 8 guys in the, in the final 64. That would have been 10% of the field, which
Yeah.
would have been pretty strong. But the guys that they were expecting to do well just really didn't, other than Shane. Thankfully, a couple other guys came out of the blue and are uh, getting noticed, which is cool to see. It's great to see Oscar win. I heard he did
Yeah.
ran out from the break at Hill Hill, which is
Yeah.
solid. And Nick DeLeon, good for him.
I don't know what to say because they're both without coming across as sounding completely biased because they're both really good personal friends of mine and I root for them and Nick especially because Oscar's accomplished in his own right and has a bunch of successes and Nick is just like beginning this pull journey that he's on and it kind of it's inspiring in a lot of ways because he's chasing his dream and how incredible is it to be young and be able to go after what you love to do and then to go and have accomplishments, on those
Yeah,
stages. It's pretty remarkable, and I'm happy for them both. I messaged Oscar right away, and I didn't get to watch it because it wasn't on any stream,
right.
um, and he said I forgot what he told me, but he was down something like 8-7. The guy misses a shot or leaves it. He has to make a tough shot, gets out, and then breaks and run at Hill Hill. So of course I was thrilled for the guy. I like it because it's like the guy can never get any damn respect. So it's like every match, it's like give him some credit. And with Nick, it's like I love seeing him be able to go and just chase his dream, be
Yep.
successful at it. And I don't know if you saw his interview after, but it was pretty emotional and he was very raw and genuine. You can't help but for root for the guy. It
Yeah.
certainly wasn't. It certainly wasn't the Americans you expected, but
No.
it could kind of be a I want to say change into the guard because of course
Yeah,
Shane's
yeah.
there.
Kind of like gives you like we said yesterday with Shane Wolford. It gives you
Right.
something, some hope
And,
for the future that, okay, maybe we're seeing someone start, some young kid who's going to start to like, match up with these guys and
and
handle.
make no mistake about it, Mike. This isn't a blip because both of these boys went deep in Derby. I'm not talking about Oscar, of course, because he wasn't there. But when it comes to Shane Wolford and Nick DeLeon, both
Yeah.
of them were there the last day. So there now you're having consistency amongst the top level players, the top talent of the world, not just
Yeah.
in the
Right.
states. So and I know, okay, you made it to final 64, but I mean this is all we got to go off of right now. And I mean I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but Shane's got a pretty okay draw. Wolford, that is. So
Yeah.
um, we'll see what happens starting tomorrow,
Yeah.
though, Mike. But yeah, there was a few other guys that went out that were surprising. Victor, after winning the
Yeah.
Alpha event in Las Vegas,
And
comes
coming
up
for event, he comes in here and goes out quick. Yeah.
short in back-to-back world championships. He comes up short, Mike. And Thomas Kaplan can go and play some pool, so there's no, there's nothing to go and hang your head on. But it's like, man, I want to see that
Tough.
guy,
Gotta
have
be
more consistency.
It's got to be tough playing a countryman that you play all the
Right,
time.
right, yeah, and
You know.
he's young too, so it's
Yeah.
he's got the world ahead of him, and if you ever talk to him, and I think you have, Mike, but he's just such a nice kid, man. I like rooting for
Yeah,
that guy too.
yeah, great young kid, great talent. He'll be, he's not going anywhere. Uh, a couple other matches I watched today, interesting matches. Chris Melling, you know, everybody kind of we talked
Roll the
about
dice, roll
it
the
too.
dice. What are you gonna get, Mike?
Yeah, and you can't just screw your. He used to be able to do this, like just screw his cue together, show up someplace, and dazzle people. But it's tough on this stage with this competition. You got to be ready. You got to be playing a lot. You have to be practicing. You have to be playing 9 ball, not English 8 ball. You got to,
Yeah.
you just can't jump in and expect to do it. And he didn't look that great, really, to tell you the truth.
It's true, but at the same time, I mean, the guy did get to, I think it was the quarters last year, and something like that. I know he had a real good chance at beating Omar, and I don't remember the circumstances exactly, but I want to say he was on like a 7 ball or something and missed it to go and put Omar away. And then of course we all know Omar ended up making it to the finals. But we haven't seen Chris at all this year. I think rewind 2 years ago, he's probably a top 15 9 ball player on earth, and I'm probably he ought to be a little bit higher than that. But you're right, with the way that its pool is so deep right now, Mike.
Yeah,
All these young guys, all the elder statesmen who are still making waves that we talked about a bit yesterday. I mean, it's
but those guys are playing every tournament. Those guys
of
are still
course.
just can't show up and expect to be your old self in a field like this because you're just not going to get away with it if you're not.
I remember talking about something similar whenever this was probably like a year ago when Scott Frost went and played Tony Chohan. We hadn't seen Scott go and play one pocket in a while, and Joey was telling me that Scott had been playing a lot in Phoenix and practicing. And I said it's different if you're
Yeah, a little
bust
big.
if you're busting up on locals versus going and playing top guys week in and week out. You know, for the course of a few months, it's different.
Yeah, very.
But there was a lot of other guys who went through that was great to go and see. Of course, Thorsten makes it through. Imran Majid, man, boy, he's just. I was surprised to go and see him go and beat Marco, but I think Marco left up an 8 ball at Hill Hill, or he would have put him away. Um, two of the Swedish players, Youngo and Regli, both of them can go and play. They're not very well known outside of Euro Tours. Both of them are certainly
Yeah,
capable. The last woman standing, you brought this up before we went on, Mike, and Pia Filler. She's not just Josh's wife anymore. If you're making it
oh,
to the final 64 of a world championship,
yeah. No, it's great for her. I mean, um, you know, she, she she's playing good pool for sure. I mean, she wasn't beating household names, but you get into that field of 128 with these guys. Any of these guys, one on the break playing 9 ball, you better come with your A game, and she obviously has. So good for her to be in there. That was great to see. Um, Billy
I
Thorpe
re-
did not look good, obviously, against Daniel Schneider. Daniel Schneider's playing good pool. He's been
he's kind of hit or miss for me, Mike. I like Daniel's game, and sometimes he can show. I think his brother Michael plays fantastic pool and doesn't get a lot of respect either. Um, but yeah, I mean, he can have moments where he can go and dance with anybody,
yeah,
without a doubt. And he's traveling all over the place too.
and really good representation from around the world in there. A lot of Middle Eastern,
Well, minus the Philippines, Mike.
players. Yeah, minus the Philippines, but I mean the players who are there. It's good that
Right.
it's dominated by Europeans. It's not dominated by Asians. There's a lot of man. The Middle Eastern players are getting really strong. There's not a lot of easy matches in there anymore. Uh,
No, I mean, you go and have guys maybe that you don't know of, or they're not household names, like you mentioned. But like Pia beating Bashar, I've seen Bashar go and play
yeah,
nine ball before. He can play very very well. So that's a pretty solid win. And Kelly came up just a little bit short, but I agree with you, Mike. The balance there was fantastic. We saw a guy who looked phenomenal today in his TV table matchup in Jason Shaw. And boy, was there not a shortage of drama when it comes to hearing that name today, Mike.
yeah. There was.
I'll tell you what happened. So I'm all over here, and I was doing a deal on buying a cue, right? And I'm on the phone with the guy, and I get a message saying, did you hear Jason got disqualified? And I'm like, what are you talking about? No, I didn't hear this, And he's like, he got disqualified for punching Tyler. And I'm like, I said, hey man, I gotta call you back. Let me see what the hell I can go and find out. Because I can't be reckless, Mike. I can't just go and post things without
Yeah,
doing my
no,
my my due diligence, right? So I have to have a little bit of responsibility here. And I don't want to go like if Jason just whooped his butt, I don't want to go and ask Jason how was it whooping Tyler's ass. I want to try to do it discreetly. And so it was funny because Oscar ended up finishing up his match. And I'm like, congratulations, blah blah. Hey man, have you heard anything about Jason, getting kicked out? And he was like he was like, what the hell are you talking about? And then I ended up I won't say the name, but I ended up messaging a very good friend of Jason's and asked him, and he says, I'm here right now with him. And he
yeah.
sent me a picture of Jason just
Wait.
cutting up and laughing. And I said, that's all I needed to know.
Yeah,
That's it,
yeah.
So
It didn't make any sense when I saw it. It was like Cowboys posted on Facebook, and I'm like, no, Cowboys.
yeah, and then I went on his page and I was like, I didn't see anything.
There's nothing there. Plus, Kyle's not that reckless where he's gonna, throw something like that out there. Working for Matchroom before Matchroom announces anything. I mean, he's not an idiot. So I kind of had a pretty good inkling right out of the gate that this was. That this
To your credit, Panozzo, you did because you were the calm one of the two. Because I was like, I in my head, I don't like feeding the trolls, Mike. But um, I I there was bits of that story when I heard it where I said, well, maybe,
possible, possible.
maybe, just maybe, it's not out of the realm of possibilities that could go and happen.
Well,
But Jason's got a very good shot, and I know he had to win today in order to get through.
yeah,
But he looked good against Jakob, and Jakob we saw he was one half of the what was it, Croatian team um the Austrians in last year's World Cup of Pool.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
they played well right up into the semifinals. Um, yeah, no, he's a good player, but Jason did look, you know, free and loose,
sharp.
blasting through. He looked really sharp. But it's interesting you bring up the whole thing about this fake news thing revolving around Jason, and it's you get trapped into having to watch all the comments during these matches, and then they pop up on the forum, and
Right.
it's just so aggravating having to put up with idiots.
Well, most of the time I
Yeah.
just leave it alone, Mike.
No,
But
I
every now and
don't
then
try,
something comes across, and I'm
I try
like,
to stay
well,
out, but you see it go by. All of a sudden you see
right.
these posts, and you see some of the responses. You're thinking, are these people serious?
Well,
Let's talk about the Tyler Steyer thing.
well, hold on a second, and then we'll move on to it. But it's funny because I didn't follow the Matchroom forum page, right? But whenever that happened, I brought it up, and I saw a thing, and then some, and of course, she had these guys who were saying, "Oh, it's confirmed, it's confirmed." And in my head, I'm like, "Who the hell are you?" or show me a picture where the guy's getting escorted out by security and you're going and saying it's confirmed. Like, who the hell are you to go and say things like that, you know?
Ah,
So and it really made for an interesting afternoon. But nevertheless, I'm glad Jason did not get kicked out. Although, you know, the sport needs a little bit of drama, but I don't want that kind of drama, Mike.
and I'm glad that Tyler didn't get punched out. So
Right, for sure. Yeah. I mean,
good for both of them. Good for
yeah,
both.
without a doubt. And they both took it with a grain of salt and were joking around on my post and both kind of throwing jabs at one another and keeping it light. And but boy, when I seen that, Mike, I said, "Well, it's gonna make for a great December, Mike." I don't know about you, but I just got that much more excited
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
a Moscone Cup. But anyway, yeah, there was more drama that involved Tyler. You know, I don't really, and I'll let you kind of take the lead on it and give us your opinion on it. And I don't know if some of you guys saw this or not.
He was playing. Uh, is that Leva? Is that her name? Christina.
Not entirely sure, to be
And
perfectly honest.
so, you know, she she makes a nine, and the cue ball's rolling. And she takes balls out of the pocket and rolls them on the table, and a couple
Like
bump
we've all done. Like we've all done playing pool.
and a couple of them bump into the cue ball while it was still moving. Now it was clear the cue ball wasn't going to go anywhere near a pocket, whatever. But the
Right.
referee's stand there, and the referee's doing his job. You
Right.
know, we want referees at a table. You know, these matches should be referees should be racking, or they shouldn't be, or they should at least be at the table counting the fouls, whatever it is. And but then when the guy does his job, all of a sudden it's
Tyler's a bad guy.
the internet lit up with this drama about Tyler's not a gentleman, he's not a sportsman because he should have just like gotten the cue ball and touched it with his cue to foul and let her finish the rack off. I'm thinking, who are these people and what is the matter with them?
There's a lot of people that are very wholesome on the internet, Mike, that are very how can I put this, that are just above it all, you know,
Oh,
and it's
it's like it's not a gentleman's game. I want to find some game. Show me some game where someone gave, we talked about it before. A wide receiver got interfered with, and the defender tells the referee, "I'm sorry, that was my fault. You got to give
I
me."
remember like it was the NFC Championship game a few years back, and it was the Saints and the maybe it was the Rams. I think I can't remember, but it was late in the game. Controversial call. You know,
Yeah,
they're on their way to go and score a blatant missed pass interference call that wasn't called, obviously. In sports, Mike, and but you know, at the end of the day, rules are rules. We see it in basketball. Final 2 minutes, they go and review to go and look to see whose fingertip it went off of or whose knee it grazed or whatever. But that's the rule, and you got to go and abide by it. I don't blame Tyler for going and shooting that shot. I don't think it was in poor sportsmanship. I don't think he did anything wrong there. It reminded me, it gave me flashbacks to the Moscone Cup and
yeah,
seeing David go and run out after the time foul from Jeremy Jones.
yeah. Should he have given the table back to Jeremy because
No, because it's sports, Mike, and that's their job. They're supposed to
these are the
police things.
rules. These are the rules.
Right.
Play by the rules. Finish it out. You do what you're supposed to do. The referee said that's a foul. Here's the ball in hand. Here's the nine ball. What's Tyler supposed to do? You shoot it in and you keep playing. The
I've
girl, she's
he's
supposed to know the rules, and you have to, she'll never do that again.
and it's
Uh,
terrible. I don't want to make it seem like it's not a great. It's the I think it's ridiculous. I do, but it's still the rule, and you
exactly.
still got to go and follow it. Now, if the referee would have been like it's okay, and Tyler would have been like, don't worry about it, I wouldn't have been mad at that either. But I'm
Right.
not gonna be mad at that man for doing his job.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't like, you know, Tyler jumped up and demanded a foul be called. He was sitting in his chair. He didn't make a move. The ref called,
Oh yeah.
picked up the ball, handed it.
Oh, if he gets up like complaining about that, oh, it's a whole different conversation than Mike.
Right.
You know,
So
but
no, but again, it's you know, people need to have themselves heard and to start controversy and to get a discussion going and
there's a
then
lot of perfect people in the pool world, Mike. I learned
there
today
are
there's
there
a
are.
lot of they
We're
can do
all
no wrong.
we're
You
all
know,
better, we're all better for it for sure.
yeah, and we're the couple of scumbags over here talking about it. Anyway, yeah, I mean, It is what it is. It's, unfortunately they're both out of the tournament right now. There's a lot of other people who are still in that I'm excited to go and talk about.
Yeah,
One of them being the Ko brothers, and I don't mean just Ko Ping Chung. I don't mean just Ko Ping Yi. All three Ko brothers, which is pretty damn strong, are through to the final 64. Mike.
yeah, that's great. A couple of them had to bounce back through the loser bracket, so they fought their way in there. There's great names in here. How about the first round matchup of Sanjin and Filler?
Well, let's just go ahead and jump right into it, Mike, because for me that is the premier matchup of round number. I don't want to say round one of the knockout stage, but of the final 64, because we saw them go and dance a little bit. I think back in November with the European Championships, and I'm sure Sanjin remembers all too well because he missed the 9 ball, and Josh, he misses the 9 ball to go and win the European Championship, which is a huge deal in Europe.
Yeah, yeah.
Filler puts down that 9 ball after he misses it and then breaks and run the next game to go and steal that title because it was stolen or at least given away. But that's going to be an exciting matchup, Mike. Josh is the very sexy name, and everyone's going to go and think he's going to go and win with ease. I'm not so sure though, Mike. It's going to be that easy.
No, no, he doesn't have to win this match at all. I mean, Sanjin, that one tournament aside where he played Josh in the final, aside from that, he's still, he's playing as well as anybody in the last 6 months. I mean, he's a solid young kid who's got a huge future ahead of him. And
how many Europeans have we said that though, Mike? Because I can think of Victor, I can think of like 5 other guys that are young Europeans who just seem to be exploding right now.
yeah, well, and it's going to be a battle with them there's going to be a lot of battles coming up in the next couple of years for these top spots among the European players. And, it's good to see. And it should, after watching the U.S. get its butt handed to it today, you're hoping that it lights a fire under some of our guys. We've got to work on getting a little bit better here, being a little bit more competitive. Because, these young kids
we're getting lapped, Mike. We're getting lapped. We're getting lapped and lapped and lapped and lapped by a lot of countries right now, Mike.
Yeah, yeah. So, we got some work to do. But again, it's not about the U.S. here. It's about all these players who are still in the event. Tons of interesting names. Guys like Niels Fan and Ralph Soke in the final 64. And then young guys like Robbie Capito and Sanjin and, Shane's buddy Oliver Solznaki is in there.
Dangerous kid himself.
Yeah, another dangerous kid.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of really, really good matchups here. It's going to be fun. Shane Wolford plays Japanese player tomorrow. And
I like his chances, Mike. I'm not going to lie. And I'm not just trying to be a rah guy. If I just think about how they've both been playing lately, I like Shane's chances, and more importantly, I like him to get out of that little area that he's in. That includes, besides Masato in his first round matchup, but you got Omar Al Shaheen right above him and Daniel Gutenberger. I like Shane. Like if you told me pick one, I would not be disappointed picking Shane or ending up with Shane.
That would get him to 16. If he can get to 16, that would be a huge win for him. A huge bonus for him to get to 16. Anything beyond there would be real gravy, but this will be good for him. And then Oscar plays another Japanese player, right? Oscar plays Oi.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get my I don't want to get my hopes up here. Yeah, I am. I'm stressed out just thinking about it, as you can tell. It's hard to say I like Oscar in that spot because I think on paper he's an underdog, but Naoki can be a little reckless at times. He can be all over the place, but if he's dialed in with his ability to go on fire, I mean he can make the game look pretty simple at times. But yeah, if Oscar can find his break, let's go. I'm in. I'm in.
If he can get through that, if he can get through Oi, then you're looking at the winner of Conrad and Imran.
And he's got some history there with Conrad. They've gambled a little bit out in Vegas, and they know each other very well. And I think on the mental side, I think Oscar's got the edge here. So if there's a way he can go and pull through, and against either one of those guys, and I don't mean it disrespectfully, but I would like my guy in that spot to go and make it through to get to the final 16.
Yeah. I like the Sanchez Ruiz Torsten Holman matchup. Should be should be interesting. Torsten will play a little bit.
Well, he's one of these guys that are a little bit ageless too.
Yeah.
Uh, he seems to always be getting there, and he's making a push again. But Ruiz is full steam ahead right now. I was looking through when me and a friend of mine were dissecting these matchups. What we go and do is we look at what they've done leading up to it, and Ruiz has been cruising, and he's been doing that for a few years. He was in the final, I think, 16 of the U.S. Open a couple of years ago. And for my money, I think he's been the better Spaniard out of all three of them um, for the last 3 years. But it's his time again, and he can go and really put a stamp on following up that Derby City Classic performance, and more importantly, get himself more points to get a little comfortable up there at top of the European rankings, which is massive.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be it'll be huge for him. What are you hoping to see out of your buddy Nick against Albin Ocean right out of the gate on the TV?
I hope Nick shows heart, and whatever the case may be. And I know he's got a lot of it. I know he does. He can be a little nitty, but he's my friend. um, yeah, I if he goes and wins, it'd be the upset of the tournament for my money.
Yeah,
Albin is Albin is the epitome of nine ball supremacy, through and through. He knows how to win, and it doesn't matter the format, it doesn't matter the stage, it doesn't matter anything. Albin just knows how to get there. So if by some chance, and I know he's a big underdog, but if there's by some chance he can get there, you want to talk about putting your ass in the discussion of being on the Mosconi Cup.
yeah,
That's the kind of win that'll go and get you in that conversation.
yeah, yeah. Agreed.
Aside from just being, because point wise, he already is okay. I mean, like I know we're only a few months in and a couple of events in, but he's starting off great, So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna try to get up early to at least be able to sweat it. So I'm excited for that. Let's take a look. Darren Appleton and Thomas Kaplan. I'm a big Dynamite fan. I know you are too,
Yep.
and I'd like to see him push through. And if he does go and make it, and if the match right below it ends up being what it ought to be, it'll end up for a heavyweight, matchup or meeting up in that next round between Kachi and Darren Appleton, which would
Yeah,
just be, I mean, dynamite for no pun intended.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Kachi seems to be a little bit driven. I mean, you see his post matches, and it all seems to have stemmed from this little Feder Gorst post that had everybody on the
that
internet.
stirred up a lot of Mike,
It
between a
did
lot of people, and
stir up,
Alex chimed in
it
too, which I
stirred up a
thought was
lot.
fantastic.
It stirred up a lot of people jumping on Kachi's, jumping down his throat a little bit and just saying, you were out of line with your response. And I think that got the hair up on that neck, and he's been like seems a little more focused in the first couple rounds of this tournament than he had been recently.
Certain guys just get motivation from different
Yeah,
places,
yeah,
Mike. And if you feel disrespected, and if that's important to you, which it is for a lot of people, um, it can really light a fire and wake up a monster. And Kachi can be a monster.
yep,
We've seen him come up flat here or there, but don't forget he won a world championship last year. Um, and yeah, I don't know what I make about that whole Federer thing. That timing of it, I thought was a little interesting. I'll just put it like this, and I personally, I'd love to go and watch the matchup. I'm just going to start off
okay,
by saying
okay.
that I would love to go and see it. I love Europeans going and barking at each other because they always want to bark somewhere else. But Kachi is not Jeff DeLuna, Mike, and Kachi is not Alex Pagulayan. And
No,
it's no knock on Federer and his, because he got some great games there and some great matchups, but he cruised. Kachi is not that guy. His 10-ball break is not like those two guys' 10-ball break whatsoever. He can go and hurt you. He can go and put you in a chair for a long time playing 10-ball,
it
depending
would
on
be
the format.
great match. It would be a heavyweight.
It would really be a great matchup. But just from the drama side of it, I enjoyed it. I like Alex kind of barking and saying, "I'll play anyone for 100 grand." There's a few guys
Yeah,
that I would want
found his,
to.
he found his
Hey,
way.
listen, and he's got time now because he's out of the tournament.
Yeah, no, Alex found his way to managed to find his way into somebody else's conversation
Yep.
pretty quick.
Just
Uh,
on a side note, Mike, I love that Alex is on social media. I think it's the
I'm
best thing ever. I mean, he is one of he's kind of like Shane, but with a lot more personality, and in the
Yeah,
sense that people love to see content from him, and Alex is so personable and likable and funny and witty and just creative that it's the best thing ever that Alex found his password to his
yeah,
Facebook and his Instagram.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But anyway, back to the tournament. Mark Bistabosh against Yukio. Flip a coin there. I don't know who the hell to go and pick.
Well,
Ralph's.
you're
Go
looking
ahead,
at
Mike.
we're talking about with Appleton and Kachi, whoever if they play each other, whoever wins that match is probably looking at Josh, right? So Josh
Yeah.
Josh against one of those two guys in the final 16 be an interesting match. Um,
Well, I'm gonna say this, Mike. If by some chance Darren can go and get there, Darren and Filler, Darren's had Josh's number over the last couple of years, and not only winning matches, but in the matches that he hasn't won, he's been able to, put him to the limit.
yeah,
So that's one of those things where we talked about yesterday of certain guys and styles make matchups and all that BS. That's one of those ones that I would love, love, love to go and watch.
yeah, yeah.
But let's take a look. Capito against Al Youssef. I like Robbie coming out of there. I like him in that area too. Mickey Krause and Moritz. I think that one's going to be an interesting matchup where Moritz is another one of these young European stars that is really trying to make a name for himself and not just having a one good blip on the screen when it came to last year at the World Championships. Mickey's another guy where he's young and he checks off a lot of boxes, but you got to
Yeah,
go and start getting deep, 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 deep in these tournaments. So we'll see what happens. For Tunski, another Polish player, along with Wojcik, which is kind of brutal because they're both in that same little part of the bracket where
yeah,
if
yeah.
they can find a way to win, they're going to end up facing each other.
Facing each other right away. That's no fun.
Well,
Yeah,
speaking of countrymen facing each other, you got two what
two
is it?
Finns.
Yeah, two Finns facing one another. How sick is that? Because I bet you they're rooming together too, which is Casper and Petri.
Yeah, come right into that first 64. And they got a good matchup, really. Lechner and Grabe. Uh,
Ah, this one had me really trying to think about who I like, and it being difficult for me, because of course I've been known to gamble a little bit, so of course I had to pick who I liked in that matchup. I think Dennis has been very, very consistent over the last couple of years. Very consistent. I think he's been that number five, sorry, that number six, when it comes to Mosconi Cup. I think he's been that first guy out, maybe Kazakis, but it's no, I
yeah,
think it's Dennis.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I didn't get to see Max a lot in Vegas, Mike. I did get to see some of Dennis. I'll tell you what, whoever comes out of that win, I like them to win their next matchup, and I like them to have a really good shot at the one after that as well. Either one of them.
yeah,
So
yeah. The
it's
winner of that could go a couple rounds. I don't know that Max has been playing quite in the last 6 months where he was the past year,
he
year and
didn't,
a
he
half.
didn't look that sharp at the PLP, Mike.
Yeah, yeah. No, he looked terrible at the PLP.
Yeah.
So yeah, not sure which he needs to kind of pull himself back together and get in there. But he won his first two matches here, so he must have been doing something right. Um, Other side of the sheet again,
Well,
Shane.
let's take a look. You got Shane and well, looks like we're on a one-way ticket to go and see Shane and Mika meet up. And if the cards end up the way I think it will be, right below them, it looks like Jason and Copigny are on track. And the winner out of that, because I expect Shane to win that matchup, I expect Shane to win the next matchup. No disrespect to anybody, but I really like his chances there to win the first two. And if Jason or Cole can come out, that's big boy Mike. That's
Yeah,
Jason Shaw or Copigny against Shane Van Boning for a chance to go and make it into what is it, 64, 32, 60,
that
so
would be
into the final eight.
that would be to get to the final eight. So
Right.
yeah, that would be either way would be a pretty delicious matchup. I mean, Shane against Shaw, both shooting for their first World Nine Ball title, would be heavyweight. They love barking at each other anyways, in fun as much as anything else.
Just
And
just knowing sports, Mike, it'll end up being like Evo Arts against Byram Lofty or something
against
like.
Alamo, no doubt.
Because like every time I see these potential dream matchups that can come to fruition,
Yeah,
it ends up being like the complete opposite, and I'm just left completely unsatisfied and just wondering how the hell did this come to be, you know?
yeah, yeah.
But no, I hope we get what we're hoping for. Right below that, you got Niels Find against Kwok, and he's playing great pool. And Niels is one of these guys where um, he can pull quote unquote upsets. I think he's a favorite in that first round, but if he ends up facing Chang, I wouldn't be surprised, Mike, if he got past him. Just the way that Niels seems kind of rededicated and refocused and reengaged into showing that what happened a couple of years ago on the Mosconi Cup stage is not who he is, and he can go
Right.
and get back there based off of his play and not who he knows.
Yeah, true.
So it'll make for a great day tomorrow. I think we're gonna have what, Mike? Like 2 rounds tomorrow. Then we'll be down to the final
Uh,
16. Then
I think they do 2 rounds tomorrow, do the 64 and 32s, be down to 16 for Friday, go down 16 and 8, get down to your final four for the final day. And is this final day Saturday or Sunday? No, the final day is Sunday. So Sunday would just be the semifinals and the finals.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mike, you're probably right.
you get
Yeah,
down to 16 tomorrow, and then down to 4 on Saturday, and then the final four on Sunday.
yeah. I'm really excited, and it really is a crapshoot, Mike. I don't think you're gonna see. You know, I'd say you're not gonna go and see one of the big four get there, just because they have to fade so much, and the format is pretty brutal. I know we talked about it yesterday. I'd like to see Shane go and get there, but he's got a lot of work to do, Mike. A lot of work to do.
I mean, obviously, you're talking about the guys that you would think, at the beginning of the tournament might get there, and you're going to come up with Shane and Jason. Well, neither one of them's going to make it to the final. One of them's not going to make it to the final eight.
Guaranteed.
So, you got that. You got.
Well, remember when he's facing Oliver in the whatever it was last year, it was just, people were already moving him on.
Right.
And I mean, we could have another Oliver that can, come up on the world radar, Mike.
I think
You know,
you pretty much guarantee it that there's going to be someone in that final four, and certainly in the final eight, one or two players where you're just like never saw that coming. Right.
history says it, Mike. History says it all the time.
So that's going to be interesting to see, and it's always interesting to see who that guy is. Last year it was Omar, and it was Yap.
Well, but Omar maybe hadn't been knocking on the matchroom stage, but Omar had been knocking on the door of, going deep
Oh
in
yeah, of
decent
course
events.
he wasn't a nobody, no name, but still, you weren't used to seeing him in Final Four of a major international tournament.
Right.
So that was just that was a cool thing to see, and likely to be someone like that this year. I mean, you just never know.
Well,
So
I know where I would put my money, Mike, and it wouldn't be on the Vogue names just because of history and odds sake. But
take a
we
look.
but we love sexy matchups though, Mike. I know I
We
do.
do, we do. But take a look at if this is your 64 player, 64 team NCAA tournament grid here, who do you like coming out of each region?
Oh, well, I have to open up my computer screen just a little bit longer. Way to put me on the spot on the spot, Panozzo, because now I
Well,
got to go and do a
your
little bit of work here.
first region's got Josh and Albin in it, so only one of them's coming through. It also has FSR in there and Kachi. That's a stacked region. That would be your basic, region of death type thing. I mean, Filler,
Yeah.
Kachi, Ruiz, and Albin all in the same region.
My head would tell me to go with Albin, but I don't want. But I don't want. I don't want to be Panozzo like tonight. So, um,
Oh,
I'm
that's
gonna I'm gonna go with, and he's gonna have to do a lot to get there. I'm gonna go with Darren. I'm gonna go with Darren Appleton.
okay.
He went deep in the World 10 Ball Championships. He's been playing some great pool. Moments don't go and rattle them. Names don't go and rattle them. These guys are all kids compared to him. He's got experience. He's got a fire in him that I just love to go and see. And plus, I don't like picking chalk, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
if I'm not gonna go chalk, I'm gonna pick Kachi, who would probably be the number three out of that, right?
Yeah, I say that's fair. He'd probably because you would have to go and give Albin one, or yeah, Albin one, Josh two, and then I guess Kachi three, probably Ruiz number four if you're gonna go and rank those guys. So what about the next one, Mike? You got Yap. Looks like Capito. Yap's got a really good chance coming out of that first area.
Yeah.
Capito.
If you're looking at a region, this looks like a relatively soft region.
Soft. I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah,
Just when you go and look at it like that, yeah.
yeah. I mean, you've got Yap, you've got Soke, Capito, Fortunsky,
And
Wojcik.
Wojcik's look good. What if he goes and ends up in a final eight of another world championship or even a final four?
Boy, he gets to the final eight or the final four of this. He's looking pretty strong for the Mosconi Cup. If you're going by if prize money gives you your points, it's two big tournaments. Two big.
Well, yeah, but they're not taking into account World 10 ball money.
Oh,
It's
that's
only
right.
9 ball events. Yeah, yeah. But I agree with you, and it's like winning World 10 ball. You're gonna put it here, but you're not gonna put it on rankings. But if he goes and does something here,
Yeah, yeah.
it's whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah,
That's big news. And then of course you got Max and Dennis down there
right.
who, yeah, I don't know, Mike.
So
What do you?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Robbie Capito.
I love that pick. I really do. He's playing smooth. He doesn't look scared like he did last year whenever he's playing Jeremy Salce on the TV table. I really like that pick. Um, I don't know if I can argue with you, Mike. There, I really don't. I would like to go and see Dennis or Max go and get there, but I'd have to jump on that same bandwagon. Even though Yap's a monster and he's got a really soft area to go and fade. Um, yeah, yeah. Way to steal my thunder, Panozzo. Appreciate it, buddy. All right, let's move on to the next one. Who do you got, Mike?
You think I'm gonna say SVB, don't you?
Of course, because you're Michael Panozzo, and SVB was the player of the decade for Billiards Digest. I know in my soul, in my heart of hearts, who you're going to go and say. I just got to hear the words out of your mouth, Mike.
I'm gonna go with Jason.
Yeah, he's one.
That's a tough one.
No, I'm gonna go with what my heart wants to go and see, similar to how I picked Darin, and I'm gonna pick Shane, but only for that reason because I want to see him
Yeah,
get a world championship. I want to see him go and get there. I really, really do. Uh, it would really, it would really make me just watch with such enthusiasm and excitement and sincerity, and
yeah.
I think it would just be great. If he can find a way
I
to
think
dodge all those bullets.
I think anybody who's a real pool fan, if either whoever came out of that bracket, if it was Jason or Shane, that's who I think your rooting interests would be with. So, um, you know,
Yeah,
would be it'd be great to see one of those two in the final for sure.
yeah.
Uh, the only guy, well, a lot of people can upset that apple cart. You got Chang in there. You've got
No, without a doubt, without a
okay.
doubt, and
Uh,
these aren't guys you can overlook, Mike, because these are champions. Niels is a when Niels' 9 ball game is on point, he's a world champion too. You know,
yeah,
of course, like you said, Jason or Cole, would I be surprised? No, I mean I take that back. I would be surprised if Cole, only because we haven't seen him in a couple of years. So I
yeah.
would be surprised in that regard. But I mean, yeah. Okay, let's go to the next one, Mike.
Another soft region. I mean, this one's really. I mean,
I don't know, Mike. I mean, maybe the bottom half of it, a little bit
who do you
soft.
like in the top half? 'Cause I mean, other than
Yeah.
Bacchus, where are you at there? You got Mario He, you got John
Well,
Moore. I'd love to see
first
John
of all,
because I just
yeah,
love the kid.
I think Mario and Alex are destined to go and dance again. Um, Alex looks free. Alex looks like he doesn't give two you know what anymore.
Yeah,
He looks like he got that monkey off his back, and when you pair that with the ability to play great pool, amazing things can go and happen.
yeah,
And I asked him as much in Vegas, and he looked like nothing in the world was going and bothering him, and I love that about it.
yeah.
I want to see Alex. I think John's uh, a very great pick as well. But you're gonna have to fade probably Little Co, which is no easy task, but
Oh,
if I'm gonna go and pick out of that whole region right there, Mike, I'm gonna go with Kazakis. Yeah.
oh, yeah, okay. I got to, you know what? I'm gonna try to pull somebody out of that last four matches because that's really soft down there. Those last eight. So one of those is going to get to the final of the bracket.
I
And I
mean, would you be shocked if Oliver was in the final weight? Because I don't think he'd be too out of line at
no,
all.
I mean that would be a good pick. Yeah,
Shane Wolford's playing great pool too. I don't know.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. I don't know if I fancy Omar getting out of there and making it to the final four again. 2 years in a
not
row. I don't.
not the Omar that I've been seeing lately.
No.
I don't see him as sharp as he was a year ago. Just from what my eyes show me. You know,
All right, I'm gonna go. A little co.
way to stick your neck out on the line a little bit, Mike. Way
What?
to.
He hasn't played.
I'm just playing.
He hasn't played anybody for
I
a
just like giving you a hard time, Mike. That's it. I just like
years.
giving you a hard time. No, that's a good pick, and I mean he's ranked really high in the 9 ball rankings. Like what is he, number 7? It looks like.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean we know what that name means in pool. You
Yeah.
know, Co brother. So
I I like one co getting to the final four, and he's probably got the best shot.
yeah. I mean I remember I asked Big Co who we thought was playing the better out of the 3, and he didn't even hesitate. You know, it was Co Ping. So um, and I don't think he was just being humble either. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a great day, Mike. It's gonna
It
be
is
an
good.
exciting day because I'm sure a lot of these guys who were going and picking like a couple of donkeys, I bet you
Yeah,
a lot of them aren't gonna go and be there after the day because that's
we're gonna,
that's what happens when you play 9 ball, Mike. Any
we're gonna have
crazy,
to visit this. We're gonna have to revisit this tomorrow night and reshuffle the deck.
yeah. One of us is gonna look. I either. Let's see. If I was gonna go and put percentages, number one at the highest percentage is gonna be both of us look like a couple of idiots.
Yeah,
The second one's gonna be like you look like the genius. The third one's gonna be I look like the genius. So,
yeah.
but I'm if I'm betting we both look like a
Given our
couple of
history,
idiots.
we're both gonna look like idiots.
Agreed. But on that note, we'll end the show tonight. We appreciate everybody for joining in. I'm sorry we didn't get to any comments. Joey's a lot better at that than I am at addressing them. But we enjoy the banner. We enjoy cutting up and talking with you guys and everyone for tuning in. So, Mike, as always, I appreciate it. I know you got a lot going on, but hopefully you can go and hop in again tomorrow.
Oh, I'd love to, and I hope that everybody who's on here tonight chiming in, lets us hear it tomorrow about how our picks went and
For
gives
sure.
ideas about how they're picking going into Saturday.
Yep. It's going to be a great day, Mike. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.
All right.